Welcome to English class. For Diploma in Computer and Commercial Practice, third semester, in syllabus we have a poem, Polonius' Advice to His Son. The poet of the poem is William Shakespeare. Let us know something about the poet. See, William Shakespeare is hailed as not of age but of all times. Why? His works are so great that they are highly popular and are constantly studied. His works are performed even today, and they are reinterpreted also. So that's why he is the dramatist of all the ages. He was born at Stratford upon Avon. He was baptized on 26th April 1564. He was born to John Shakespeare and Mary Arden. He wrote 38 plays, several poems, and essays. He is the world's preeminent dramatist. His dramas are in poetic form. This poem, Polonius' Advice to His Son, is an extract from his famous play. It is a tragedy, Hamlet. And the part of the play is Act 1 and Scene 3. From this, the present poem is extracted. This Hamlet is one of the 4 greatest tragedies of Shakespeare. Who is Polonius? He is the chief counselor of King Claudius. Claudius is a character in the play Hamlet. Claudius is the king and the father of Hamlet. So for this King Claudius, Polonius is the counselor. He has a son named Laertes. His son is grown up and is about to leave to France to join a university for his further studies. As a sincere father, before sending his son, he advises his son how to be in France. So in this poem, he offers blessings to his son and he advises his son how to be at France. So throughout the poem, Polonius is speaking. He is advising his son Laertes. So now let us look at the poem. There my blessing with thee, and these few precepts in thy memory. So the poem begins with the blessings of Polonius to his son. After blessing, he advises his son in the following lines. He says, and these few precepts in thy memory. After blessing his son, he says to keep few things in the memory. See thou character, give thy thoughts no tongue. Keep your character good. Give thy thoughts no tongue. Many thoughts come to your mind, but don't express all the thoughts outside. Whatever the thoughts come to your mind, don't express them all outside. Think before expressing. Nor any unproportioned thought is act. You should not bring them to your tongue. You should not speak out those thoughts. Or these thoughts which are unproportioned, which are not suitable to the situation. The thoughts which are not demanded by the situation. Such thoughts should not be acted. They should not be put into action. So, first piece of advice he gives is think before acting. Think before speaking and acting. In short, we can say like this. Okay, this is the first piece of advice given by Polonius. Now, be thou familiar, by no means vulgar. He says his son to be familiar. Everybody must know his son Laertes. He should know everyone. But at the same time, in behavior, his son should not show any vulgarity or awkwardness. He advises his son to be dignified in his behavior. Have contact with everyone, but in a dignified manner. Don't cross your limits. Those friends thou hast and their adoption tried, grapple them to thy soul with hoops of steel. For the friends, whoever wants to make friendship with you, he is going to a new place, so there may be several new people who will be coming across. He is coming across. So whoever want to make friendship with Laertes, with his son, he advises his son to make friendship. And how the friendship should be? To the thy soul with hoops of steel. So keep your friends so dear to your heart. They should be dear to your heart. That means think of their problems as your problems. Help them, but do not dull thy palm with entertainment. So, when you come across several new people, when you come across new friends, it's common that the friends have some kind of entertainment. So, don't go for unnecessary entertainment. Don't go for bad habits. Generally, in the friends, bad habits get developed with by making friendship with bad people. So when you are making friends, you look at that you should not entertain unwantedly. You should not throw yourself into bad circumstances. Of each new hatched, unfledged comrade. So, whenever you are making friendship with those people, with don't you are not experienced. You are not experienced uh, circumstances with them. You don't have any experience with those new people. So you may get into unwanted things. So try yourself not to involve in such things. Beware of entrance to a quarrel, but being in, be art that the opposed may be aware of thee. So before entering into a quarrel, think. Don't enter into. First, the thing he advises is beware of entrance to a quarrel. Don't enter into a quarrel. Avoid fighting. Avoid quarrels with anyone. Avoid disputes. Don't get disputes with others. But being in. But we can't avoid all the time our disputes, quarrels. At certain times, we will be involved in a dispute. At the time, be art that the opposed may be aware of thee. So the opposition, the person with whom you are quarreling, or the person who wants to quarrel with you, they should be aware that you are strong enough to quarrel. They should not think that you don't have the ability to quarrel, ability to argue. If such impression is generated in their mind, daily quarrels come and you are presented as a weak person. So, to maintain your dignity, to keep yourself hold, to have hold there, don't give the impression to others that you are afraid of quarreling. You are strong enough, you are not weak, you are strong enough to quarrel. So, don't enter into a quarrel, but when at times when a quarrel comes, try to face it and give the opponent that you can success in a quarrel, that you are the right one, you are the correct in that quarrel. Give every man thy ear, but few thy voice. In the next piece of advice, he advises his son to hear everyone, to listen to everyone. Whenever a person says something, listen to him. But few thy voice. whatever people are saying, listen, don't speak. But for some people which are worth to be spoken, there you speak. You present your ideas. Take each man's censure. When you meet several people, people criticize you. Your censure means criticism. People criticize you. Take the criticism, invite criticism, but reserve thy judgment. Use your mind and reserve the judgment with you. Whatever people are criticizing you, whether they are right, they are wrong, it is the one who judge. It is you, the one who judges. So, what is his advice? Listen to everyone, but give voice to some people, speak to some people after listening. If you feel that it is worth speaking, then if people are criticizing you, when people criticize, so think whether the criticism is right or wrong. If it is right, mend your ways. If it is wrong, leave it. So the ultimate one to decide is you. Costly thy habit as thy purse can buy. How your habit should be, how much money you should spend, whatever your purse has. That means don't borrow money. Don't make your habits so costly than the purse. But not expressed in fancy, rich, not gaudy, for the apparel oft proclaims the man. So he gives the advice about apparel. Apparel means dress. What kind of dress his son should wear? So he should not express himself in fancy dresses. He should not go for fancy. Not so rich. Already he told not to borrow money. So whatever his purse gives him, that much is enough. Not too rich or not gaudy. Gaudy here means brightly colored dresses which lack taste. Some people wear very bright colored, flowered dress, and some they lack taste. Once if we see, look at them, we feel that the dress is very awkward. Such impression, that is called gaudy, that is lacking in taste, brightly colored, lacking in taste. So that kind of dress he should not wear. For apparel oft proclaims the man. This is a very important piece of advice. The apparel, the dress. The dress shows what you are. So always wear a dignified dress. If somebody looks at you, your dress gives a lot of impression, gives an idea about you to the person. So that's why he is saying, apparel oft proclaims the man. Apparel, that is dress, says about the man. It gives the idea about the man. The first impression of a person is by the dress he wears. And they in France. So the person is going to France, his son is going to France, and in France, of the best rank and station, or of a most select and generous chief in that. So in France, the people of noble rank, the people of high rank, the people who are belonging to, who are having a social status, and those who, and station is saying that, and those who live in France, such kind of people, they wear very selected and generous kind of dresses. They wear very selected. That means they won't wear the dress that is worn by a common man. So here Laertes is the son of Claudius, and to show his rank, he is the son of a counselor of King Hamlet. So to show his rank, wear that kind of dress. His dress should show his rank, his dignity. And in this, he should be generous enough. While wearing dress, he should be generous enough to show his rank. That means he belongs to the noble family. He should wear what the nobles wear. Neither a borrower nor a lender be. So this is one famous piece of advice. Neither a borrower nor a lender. He advises his son not to borrow money or not to lend money. You don't borrow money, you don't lend money. Why? For loan oft loses both itself and friend. So if this loan, borrowing money or lending money, both are loans. So if you give loan to someone, if he won't return back, if he won't return your money, then you are losing money, both. You are losing money, and in turn you are losing your friend. You will lose faith in your friend. If you lend money, your money is gone, your friend is gone. In the same way, if you borrow the money, and you are unable to pay the money in time, you are losing your friend. The friend loses faith in you, and there arises a dispute on money between this friend and you. So, and you are losing your true friends. So that's why he advises his son to be very careful about money, not to borrow money, not to lend money. And borrowing dulls the edge of husband. And if you are borrowing money, it gives the impression that you are unable to use your, or unable to manage your money properly. Husbandry means managing money properly. Careful use of money. Husbandry means careful use of money. So, when you are borrowing money means you are not using your money very carefully. You are running into debts. So that's why he advises his son not to borrow money. If he borrows, he is not managing the money properly, and then if he lends, he will lose his friend and money. This above all, to thine own self be true. He advises his son. So he gave a list of advices about dress, how to spend money, how to enter into a quarrel, how to judge people, how to make friendship. So he gave a long list of advices. In the end, so above all these advices, the most important advice is to thine own self be true. So you be true to yourself. Don't deceive yourself. And it must follow as the day and night. So you should be true to yourself, and this is not for a day or not for a night, not for some days, not for some nights, but every day and every night. That means for all the time. Every time you should be true to yourself. Don't deceive yourself. Whatever you feel right, you do it. Though canst not then be false to any man. If you are true to yourself, then you can't be false to any man. When you are true, you can't be false to some others. And in the end, he bids farewell to his son. This is the ending line of the poem. Farewell, my blessing season this in thee. So he bids farewell to his son. My blessing season this in thee. So this season, in this season I am blessing to you, and he blesses his son, and he bids farewell to his son. So this is a beautiful poem by Shakespeare. Now you have looked at the advice given by Polonius to his son Laertes. Now let's think of the poem. This poem reveals the character of Polonius. Now I'll give a minute, 1 or 2 minutes for you, how it is revealing the character of Polonius. I told you what kind of character is revealed in the poem. What kind of character of Polonius is revealed in the poem. Take 2 minutes and jot down. Yes, this poem reveals the character of Polonius. Let's see whether my explanation matches with your explanation. Okay, whatever you have written, just look at it. Polonius offers advice to his son. By the piece of advices, he himself reveals his character. In the poem, he is very eager to establish himself as a sincere father. And he doesn't look at the idea that his son is grown up and his son is going to France or going to a university for study. Does such a grown up child needs these kind of advices? And are these ideas, are these piece of advices are practical? He doesn't look at this point. First is whether his son, grown up son who is going to France, needs such an elaborate piece of advice, and then whether these are practical. And many a times he sounds self-contradictory. Look at the first one. He asks his son to listen to him, and at the same time he advises his son to be true to himself. At the beginning lines, not in the beginning lines, but here where to thine own self you be true. Okay, he says to be true to himself, but he says at the same time to listen to his advice, to follow the advice. He is contradictory somehow, and he is more anxious in giving the advice. Okay. Then this poem contains a long list of moral maxims. See, if you look at them, neither a borrower nor a lender be. In short, he gave the ethical advice: don't borrow money, don't lend money. And then for apparel oft proclaims the man. So the dressing proclaims the man. This shows that this small line reveals that how one should wear a dress. So these are some maxims which give you ethical piece of advice. In this poem, he is at his best with wit and wisdom. He has shown a lot of wisdom in compiling these poetic lines. And the most important thing of this poem is brevity. Everything is expressed in brief. See, I gave the example of the line, neither borrower nor a lender be. In one line, he explained everything. You should not borrow, you should not lend, the whole advice. When but after often proclaims the man, apparel proclaims the man. So in that also, he told everything, whatever. In that one verse, he expressed all the thought. Be thine own self be true. So in this short also, he wants his son to be true to himself. He expressed everything. So in this brevity, and he conveys a lot of content in a single line. That is, brevity means briefness. And he himself proves his own saying, brevity is the soul of wit. And in this poem, the word but is used. But do not dull thy palm with entertainment. But in the next, somewhere in between, but not expressed in fancy, rich, not gaudy. So, why do you think the poet has used the word but? But shows, the use of the word but shows that there is no golden rule to follow. There is an option for the rule. So in the first line we said Polonius often looks contradictory. So he gave the choice to his son. He says to follow, then he uses the word but. So two times maybe, okay? Yeah. 2 times he used the word but. So this shows that there is no golden rule for following the advice, but for those pieces of advice where but is used, there is an option for his son. So this is something about the poem Polonius' advice to his son. So we will have a look at the poem in brief. So this poem is written by William Shakespeare, and this is a part of the play Hamlet, Act 1, Scene 3. This is to be remembered because this is an extract from that play Hamlet. And Polonius is the counselor of the King Claudius. He has a son called Laertes. He is leaving for France. And as an anxious father, Polonius is advising his son. He gives several pieces of advice. He asks, the first piece of advice is to think well before speaking and before acting. This is the first piece of advice he gives. And then the next is, he should not cross the limits of decency and privacy. He should maintain the dignity. This is the second piece of advice. Then he recommends, the third piece of advice is, he recommends his son to make friends with everyone, but at the same time be cautious with the friends. And he suggests to speak less and not to be vulgar. And he suggests his son to take advice from everyone, to seek suggestion from everyone, but the judgment or the final opinion should come out of his brain. He should think before acting. And then he advises his son to wear nice clothes which suit his high rank. And then he also advises his son not to borrow and lend money. And on the top, this is last and the most important advice is that he should be true to himself. So this is something about Polonius' advice to his son. In the next lesson, we will come with the next chapter. Thank you. And I will give you few questions. Note the questions. Sketch the character of Polonius. The first question is, sketch the character of Polonius. The second is, explain the lines. Be though familiar, by no means vulgar. Explain the line. Be though familiar, by no means vulgar. If you look at the PPT, you will know the line. Okay. And the third one is, elaborate if you agree with the poet. For the apparel oft proclaims the man. Elaborate and say whether you agree with the poet and what reasons will you give for the agreement with the poet for the line. For the apparel oft proclaims the man. So with this we will end the class. Thank you.